I'm on a road trip through the United States, tasting the very best cakes this nation has to offer.
It is delicious.
This is a country whose love of baking is undeniable.
It suddenly becomes this cake.
I'm about to meet some of the greatest bakers on the planet. Cheers. So buckle up and get ready. This is the United Cakes of America. Today, I'll be going on a tour of trendy Brooklyn before munching into a modern American classic, Whoopie Pie.
Better than a cupcake, right?
Do you know what? This is better than a cupcake.
I'll also meet the most flamboyant character of my journey so far, Cake Man Raven, yeah?
Yes, sir, my pleasure. Home of the Southern Red Velvet Cake.
Then I'll be tempting you into the kitchen with a simple passion fruit whoopie and a chocolate cake that's perfect for a kid's birthday party.
Well, this is what cake making is all about.
This is Brooklyn, New York City's most populated borough. The 2.5 million people that live here might not have the glamour of Manhattan, but they definitely have the view.
It's pretty cool, isn't it? Driving this car with a view like this.
Brooklyn is one of the 5 boroughs that make up New York City and is one of the most densely populated areas in the whole of America.
I'd say I'm not really a city kind of guy. Kind of the type of person who likes to visit the city, but I don't think I want to live here. I like gardens. I like growing my own stuff. I like space. You see, that's about as close to a garden as you get around here. 4 plant pots next to an air conditioning unit. Oh, we've got a garden. No, that's a garden centre.
Brooklyn was once a no-go area for English chefs in a fancy car, but today the borough has been transformed into a culinary wonderland. I'm meeting Matt Lewis, a hands-on baker who has helped this change take place.
I believe you're the man to show me around town.
Yeah, I'll take you around Brooklyn.
So jump in.
All right. This is a pretty nice ride.
So tell me about this place. Because when I think of Brooklyn, certainly the perception that I had of Brooklyn before I came here was very, well, an area that you wouldn't go down.
Well, it was an area, like, you're right, like 15 years ago,
Yeah.
Nobody would come out here. If you lived in Manhattan, you never went to Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Now, the whole area has changed. If you live in Manhattan and you want to see a great new chef, 9 times out of 10, you're coming to Brooklyn.
Matt has had a bakery in this part of Brooklyn for over 7 years and has seen an industrial wasteland become one of the trendiest spots in New York.
So whereabouts are we heading now?
Well, we're heading to Dumbo, Brooklyn.
Dumbo, right?
You know, it's an acronym. It stands for Down Under Manhattan Bridge Overpass.
All right.
And I feel a little silly still people telling that I live in Dumbo.
Matt's going to show me how to make one of America's favourite treats, the Whoopie Pie. But before we bake, we need to shop. This should be a great chance to get a real flavour of life in one of Brooklyn's most fashionable neighbourhoods. Our first stop is Dumbo's very own chocolate shop.
Hey, Matt. Good to see you. Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, how are you?
James.
Hi, James. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm Ken.
Ken is the head chocolatier. He doesn't just sell chocolate, he actually makes it too.
We make just about everything in this manufacturer,
Yeah.
including chocolate.
But this is one of the fascinating things about this place, because, you know, you're in a built-up area, but to find a chocolate shop, yes, but to find somewhere that actually makes their own chocolate as well as doing their own chocolates.
New York is full of great food shops, and being able to shop at specialised producers like this is all part of the joy of living here.
I need some pure baking
I
chocolate.
have something just for you.
Perfect.
Okay, these are called Big Daddy bars.
Right. Like everything in America, it's bigger.
Perfect.
Yes.
Yes.
Loaded up with chocolate, we head to Matt's local supermarket.
Dumbo like survives on this place. It's got like the best cuts of meat, the best groceries, best produce. It's the only way to do it. And also, I need to get my flour and
Right.
eggs for the whoopie pies.
This place is packed full of top quality ingredients. Another example of just how seriously New Yorkers take their food. Even the flour is the best quality and organically grown. Flour is one of the most vital important
yeah.
ingredients, but we always seem to use the cheaper flours. I always think that buy the best flour you can afford.
Whatever you put in is what you're going to get out. You put a cheap ingredient in, you're going to get a cheap product out.
Finally, we pick up some trendy eggs and then head back to Matt's place to start cooking. Well, what an amazing apartment.
Oh, thanks for coming by, Dumbo. Yeah, I mean, this is the reason we live here.
Yeah, you can't get bored of that view. Matt's invited some friends around for a whoopie pie party. So it's time to get to work by whipping up a simple chocolate batter. Now, are these popular in your bakery?
Oh yeah, whoopie pies are really popular. We do a couple of other flavors too. This is the most classic flavor, so it's the chocolate vanilla, but we have the red velvet version now.
Right.
Strawberry, banana, you name it. It's probably, if it's done in a cupcake form, we could do it in a whoopie pie form.
With our wet mixture ready, it's time to add the flour.
So you can see it's a really thick batter.
Yeah, so the key is not to over mix it once the flour goes in.
Exactly, then it will dry it out.
Now, when you're looking at a whoopie pie in a shop, it's got that domed sort of...
It's got that crack,
Yeah.
little domed crack on top.
Yeah.
That will happen when we put these in the oven.
Right. This gooey chocolate batter only takes 8 minutes in a medium oven, and then we can start building up our whoopies. They're hardly a cookie, are they, really? They're a cross between a cake and a cookie?
I think cookie cake is a good way to describe a
Cookie
whoopie.
cake,
Yeah,
right.
cookie cake's a good way to describe it.
So in here you've got what?
It's just a Swiss meringue with a whole bunch of butter.
I've seen these being sold all over America, and I can't wait a moment longer to try one.
Better than a cupcake, right?
Do you know what? This is better than a cupcake. We grate some fresh Dumbo chocolate over our pies just in time, as our guests have arrived and our whoopie pie party gets underway.
Oh, hey guys, how are you? Oh, you brought the wine. Perfect. And you guys want a whoopie?
I love a whoopie.
All right. Want to throw one on? Unless you could eat the whole thing in one foul swoop.
I can try.
So why do they call them whoopie pies?
I read a theory once that it was from Pennsylvania Dutch country, and the parents would put them in the children's lunch boxes so they would open them up and see them and they would go, oh, whoopee!
But it's not a cookie, is it?
Whoopie pies are for the people who like more cake and less filling.
Ah, all right.
So cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers,
Thanks for
anyway.
coming out.
It's a pleasure.
I
Thanks
really
for having
appreciate
us.
it.
Now, for my whoopie pie, I've translated the recipe slightly different to the US version. And it changes dramatically when you take an American recipe and change it to the UK with ingredients, particularly flour. And I'm going to make a vanilla and passion fruit whoopie pie. The usual way of starting this is sugar and butter. We're going to whisk this up. I'm going to add a touch of vanilla. You could add a vanilla pod to this, just a touch of vanilla essence. Then it's 2 eggs, followed by 150 mils of milk, and then the same amount of buttermilk. One thing that I found on my travels, and certainly one of the things that I've learned, the use of buttermilk in cakes. It produces a really distinct flavour and also makes it last a little bit longer as well, so it keeps it nice and moist. So you can see the mixture is very wet in here, and then I'm going to combine the flour with some baking powder, about 2 teaspoons. What was impressive as the cakes was Matt's apartment. I think that he's got the best of both worlds because literally if you live the other side of the river, you get a different view to him and you pay 3 times as much. Now I'm going to use these trays, which are particular for this recipe. These are whoopie pie tins, and they're special tins that allow the mixture to spread out just enough to fill the holes. If you haven't got one of these, you can get them online. If not, you can use sort of a Yorkshire pudding tin. Put the mixture into a piping bag. The reason why I pipe it out is just so that I can start the shape of the whoopie. Now you want to set the oven quite low. This is 170 degrees centigrade, about 350 Fahrenheit, gas 4. And you're going to bake these for 10 minutes. And while that's baking, we're going to make the filling for this. Cream cheese, fresh vanilla, and passion fruit. And just a little bit of double cream. Now, I actually don't put any sugar in this because I love the flavour of the passion fruit. You want it to be quite sharp. Fill another piping bag with this simple filling. I think the initial perception about American food is we think they live on burgers and drive-thrus. And there's plenty of burgers and drive-thrus out there, but the strive for perfection is more than it is anywhere else in the world, I suppose. You know, they've got some of the greatest ingredients in the world right on their doorstep. Once they're cooled, they only take about 10 minutes in the oven. You get this sort of pliable, it's not a biscuit, it's not really a cake, it's sort of almost half and half. And then we can fill these up. A quick squeeze of the cream cheese filling and gently sandwich them together. And the secret of these Whoopie Pies is not only can you flavour the actual mixture themselves, you could put pistachio nuts through it, pistachio paste, chocolate, like Matt did, but you can also exchange and change the fillings as well to complement it. It's a bit like sort of the cupcake. The final touch, a dusting of icing sugar. The Whoopie Pie certainly was one of the most widely available cakes that was offered to sale in bakeries right across America, but there's my version, a classic American Whoopie Pie with passion fruit. The All-American Whoopie is certainly one of the easiest cakes that you'll ever make, but the texture is kind of soft but not a biscuit. I'm on the hunt for some of America's greatest cakes, and today my search has brought me to Brooklyn in New York. Well, it may sound weird, but we're in Brooklyn to meet a man about red velvet cake. And he's called Cake Man Raven. It's America. You just go with it. Great cake making is all about great showmanship, so I'm hoping Cake Man's cakes are as good as his name. And it's the first bakery on my travels where parking isn't an issue. You just drive straight in and you've arrived. Have I found Cakeville?
Yeah, welcome to Cakeville, USA. How you doing?
You'll be Cake Man Raven, yeah?
Yes, sir, my pleasure. Home of the Southern Red Velvet Cake.
This bakery has fed red velvet cake to some of America's biggest stars. But although I'm here to talk cakes, Cake Man wants to talk cars.
The car is fabulous. It's the color of red velvet, #1.
Well, I thought about that.
So you're a superstar right now in my book, and look at this license plate.
It's pretty
cool. Do
cool,
you understand? Cakes of America.
It's pretty cool.
But I got one better.
Well, what do you got?
Look. My own personalized license plate. Cake Man, Brooklyn, USA, New
Cake
York.
Man.
A real plate.
Brilliant.
This is it.
When you meet someone called Cake Man, there's just one question you've got to ask. Please tell your mum didn't name you Cake Man Raven.
No, she didn't actually
Right.
name me Cake Man Raven. But I started when I was 9 years old.
Yeah.
So
9?
So they used to call me the Cake Boy first.
Right.
And then when I got 18 and I started driving and getting ready to go to college, they said, we can't call him Cake Boy no more. We got to call him the Cake Man. So that's how I got the name. I didn't give it to myself.
We head into the kitchen where Cake Man has agreed to show me the secrets of his legendary red velvet cake. Oh, check out the hat.
This is where we do the work.
This is your little, I mean, in between the factory that we've got out here, this is your little workshop?
Yep, and this is my crown, so I got to put my little crown on.
I like it. And they're the right colour as well. Once dressed, we start by mixing some oil and buttermilk. This is sold in every pastry shop in New York, I've seen. Red velvet cake.
New York, South Carolina, United States, Trinidad, Barbados.
Yeah.
We add a little vanilla,
Yeah.
vinegar, and this is to cut down the bitter taste of the food coloring.
Right.
We use 1 ounce of red food coloring, which is just a basic red food coloring.
1 ounce of food colouring explains the red. And it's the sieving of all the dry ingredients that helps create the velvet, which includes just a single tablespoon of cocoa powder. Because I always thought a red velvet cake was a chocolate cake with colouring added.
No.
But it's not.
Once you taste my cake, you'll understand
Yeah.
what Southern Red Velvet Cake is made by and
Yeah.
created by Cake Man Raven, mayor of Cakeville, USA. Okay? That's lesson 1.
Right, now I've been told I'm allowed to lend a hand by adding the dry ingredients to the wet. Then it's a gentle mix.
Went from a kid, 9 years old, interested in just making cakes at home with your mum, to this.
I was supposed to be a mortician,
Yeah.
not a cake man. Supposed to be down south embalming dead people. My hobby was taxidermy, putting deer heads on fish, on stuff on the wall, trophies.
Fortunately, his interest in corpses was surpassed by his passion for cakes. And so with our red velvet layers mixed and baked, it's time to watch the cake come together.
The test is for my icers to decorate a cake in 5 minutes or less.
A simple mixture of cream cheese, butter and icing sugar. Ice the cake. He adds a swirl on the top and then decorates with a knife.
Watch the cake come to life.
One red velvet cake. Done.
Was it 3 minutes or 4 minutes?
Well, it's about 3.5. I'll forgive you 30 seconds.
Okay, well now watch. We will garnish it now.
Yeah.
Pecans. Please. Pecans.
We use freshly ground pecans to decorate the side of the cake.
Why do you think people love this so much here?
Some say because it's the best thing they ever ate. Some say because it's just what it makes them feel like inside. And then others just say it's sweet. So, I don't know. You're gonna judge for yourself. First slice come out like that,
Yeah.
and you saw it baked right here, and it sits up on the plate. Now you see why they call me a cake man? Nah. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. The official red velvet cake of the USA.
He's made by you.
Cake
I'll
man,
give you
right?
that.
There
I'll
you
give
go.
you that.
Yeah.
Because it's light.
We saw it happen. We did it.
You do make a good red velvet cake.
Good enough for the queen. Gotta get it over there, so.
Really?
Gotta get the queen over with the cake.
Now, the red velvet cake has to be the true, authentic American cake, and it's found in bakeries all across the States. So I'm going to take influences from it and use a chocolate cake as a base, but then do the red colouring as the topping. Now, the start of this is a chocolate cake. First of all, we're going to mix butter and sugar together.
To that, add a teaspoon of vanilla extract and then 3 eggs, one at a time. The thing that makes this cake special is the rising agent.
Got self-raising flour and cola, and it's the cola reacting with the bicarb soda that will allow this cake to rise up, and rise up quite a lot. So we fold in, first of all, the cocoa powder. The flour can go in. This is self-raising flour. And then the cola. And you want about 60 mils. And there's a reaction, and I can actually, you can feel it actually working in your hands as you're mixing it. It starts to rise even before it's put in the oven.
Pour the batter into an 8-inch cake tin. A quick tap will get this thick batter right into the edges, and then it's into a medium oven for an hour.
And now for the frosting. This is the red velvet part of my cake. I'm going to make a Swiss meringue.
Gently mix egg whites and caster sugar over boiling water.
Now, all meringue recipes are almost the same. It's the same quantity as sugar to egg whites, but it's how we incorporate that sugar that gives the meringue a difference in texture. And it's very simple to test whether this is going to be ready before we mix it. Just lift out a bit and then just rub it in between your fingers. And if you can feel any grains, you need to keep heating it up.
Once the sugar is dissolved, it's time to whisk it.
And what will happen is, as the sugar starts to cool down, the whites will whip up and it'll almost double in size. And it's that's the basis of all the good buttercreams in America.
When the meringue has cooled, add the butter.
And this is really personal preference, how much you want to add, and personal taste. And now you can add the food colouring. Now, I always find it best, whenever you're buying food colouring, to buy the paste, because you use a lot less. And I actually think it's much better for you than the essence. And you'll see, even though I've only got a small amount, you'll see how quickly the colour develops in this.
Once the colour spreads, your frosting is ready.
So you can pop it in the fridge and allow it to set. Now the cake's risen and the cola's done its thing. It's actually caused it to rise quite a lot. And now for the best bit, which is the icing.
Slice the top off the cake to give yourself an even base for the frosting. Then using a palette knife, spread the meringue mixture over the top first and then round the edge.
It's actually funny, this cake, because you can use any real soft fizzy drink for this, and you can actually taste whichever drink you use in the cake.
The final touch, a layer of marshmallows.
Well, this is what cake making is all about, a bit like the red velvet cake. You eat with your eyes, really, and for kids to get involved in baking, this, I suppose, is kind of like the perfect cake for them. You serve this at a kid's party, I think it'll go down a treat. And there you have it. You're not going to miss it. My version of a red velvet cake with marshmallow. Now, the use of a soft drink to make a cake rise is something that cooks have been doing for quite a long time. But most importantly with this, that it actually holds the cake together really nicely and keeps it lovely and moist. It tastes good too.
Brooklyn has given me a great taste of two of America's favourite cakes, and it's great to be in a place so passionate about good food.
If you could smell what I'm smelling, you can smell food in New York. It sounds daft. Every block that you go down, there's different things to eat. You're obsessed with food.